Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. I figured I would just talk about kaijus, the kaiju genre, of course. And I just want to do this because I feel like I don't talk about this genre that often, even though I did talk about this genre quite often before. It's just kind of just making an excuse to do more of it, really. I guess not enough recently, I guess you can say. So to be more specific, okay, that's about XCOM, the new Empire, which yes, I actually did see this in theaters for anyone who wants to know. Anyway, that's kind of pointless because I would have just watched this anyway, one way or another, of course, eventually. But yes, I did see this in the movie, and I actually did review this film already. But besides all that, of course, I'm gonna look at a written review that was posted on this Christian site. Yes, I'm going here again. A Ministry of Christian Answers.net. Okay. I'll look in, I guess, in cinema or just entertainment as a whole, and no perspective, I guess you can say. We all know where this is going to go. Oh boy. And this is, of course, a review, like I was saying a moment ago. This one exactly and whatnot. It features creature violence and action. It's not like the same thing, so that kind of seems redundant. Anyway, but this review was written by this individual, Mike. Okay, sure, whatever. And it's not gonna be a good review at all. So I guess let's just get into it, I suppose. As always, the general plot is overlooked for the most part, but this individual does give a bit more detail compared to some other stuff I talked about. So yes, of course, we get to the fact that Kong Skull Islands takes place in the same universe and whatnot. And yes, this does feel like more of a direct sequel to Kong Skull Island. Anyway, this individual doesn't really go too much into the overall story. It just brings up the fact that the fighting, yes, Godzilla vs. Kong was in the previous entry, sure, and but yeah, this one does have a lot of noise, like this individual says. Like, okay, of course he's got a lot of noise. It's an action movie, but that doesn't say anything. That doesn't tell me anything. Anyway, but yeah, again, that movie doesn't really talk about the story too much, really, at all. It just keeps bringing up fact that the fighting, and then the fighting, and then the fighting, and then the fighting, and then more fighting, fight, and then more fighting, and then just continue to fight more. I mean, yes, technically that's what this movie is, just a whole bunch of fighting. Even though it's more of a Kong movie, really, it's more of a King Kong movie than anything, really. And yes, there's a whole segment with the smaller ape creature that King Kong does come across, and then yes, there's the whole idea that King Kong wants to find his family. Maybe not his family, but maybe let's say maybe a group of apes. Really, he can't be the only gorilla or what have you. He can't be the only gorilla in the ward. There has to be other giant apes in the ward. And lo and behold, he does come across these. And then the whole idea where the whole Heart of Earth from Godzilla's Kong is here. And then the whole idea with, of course, Godzilla's pissed off. He still remembers that the previous match. That's still a thing here. And of course, the one girl that does the whole sign language for King Kong, she's here but more grown up. The little girl who's now grown up feels like an outcast, which just doesn't play thing in the entire movie because the adoptive mother is trying to help her feel accepted. And there's like this whole tribe thing that they do discover underground somewhere, and the adoptive mother feels like, oh yeah, I fixed everything now. And of course, it's the whole thing where there's this big monster, this other monster that King Kong and Godzilla have to face off. But a lot of plot details, what I'm saying, has been completely ignored. Is what I'm getting at. Yes, that whole bit where they have to team up with each other to fight the other monster, even though they don't like each other. Well, they don't have to like each other. They just have to team up temporarily to fight this other monster, which has been a thing in the series anyway up to this point. And yes, the whole thing with Kong, he has this thing in his hand. He has to use it to fight other creatures. That's a dangerous to him. That's the thing, obviously. And but yeah, obviously, it's not forget about the fact that the film does make it a thing in this narrative. Well, Godzilla himself, yeah, he gets all juiced up and whatnot. That's a thing in the movie. But what I'm saying is that a lot of these details and plus many more gets glanced over. So the individual who made this review doesn't really talk about anything other than the fact just like I just said, fight, fighting, and then fighting, and then fighting, and then fighting, and then more fighting, and then fighting. Doesn't really bring up much else on than just the most shallow point of view, really. But of course, again, this individual, just like the others I spoke about, complains about violence. Like, really? You complain about violence being in a Godzilla movie? It's a Godzilla movie. It's required to be violent. They're beating the shit out of each other. Are you expecting a kids' cartoon or something? Just okay. That's just stupid. I mean, really, it's dumb. It's so goddamn dumb. Must I bring up the material that you would personally read? I mean, seriously. Wait a second. Let's do that right now. Because of the fact that the Bible itself is littered with violence. It's all over the place. Really, talk about beating your wife and whatnot if she disobeys or something. And don't get me started on the whole virgin thing either, because if a woman has sex before marriage, she should be stoned to death. That's another one, of course. And that's just, of course, having people get married against their will, especially if a woman doesn't want it. That's violent in a way. But anyway, it's just the fact that it just seems, yes, it's okay to beat your wife. That's okay and on all that jazz. So your own Bible is pretty violent. It's pretty aggressive, especially towards women for some reason. But I don't know why. A woman should be submissive, and she rebels, beat her ass. Ugh. And there's more to that, but still. And of course, to like the other people talk about, complaints about the swearing. Using God's name in vain and saying the word shit or hell and damn or whatever, stuff like that. Like, really, people, this stuff just bothers you? And yes, of course, the individual who made this review also mentioned the original series of Godzilla films, the Showa era. For films such as Godzilla's Gagan or Godzilla Monster Island, or the Japanese version, yes, obviously Godzilla X Kong is obviously playing like an homage to those original series of Godzilla films. It's basically one and the same, except that there's a higher budget. That's about it. It's basically just a slugfest, like a bunch of wrestling going on. If you think about it. So yeah, that's one way to summarize the movie. Well, ultimately, yes, I can say it's basically a wrestling match, but with giant monsters just beating the ever shit out of each other. And ultimately, that's what this movie is. Just like the short era of Godzilla films, pretty much. That's true. But I feel like this individual is skimming a lot of stuff because those are plot elements. But of course, the the girl who does this whole sign language just wants to find a place where she can live. Of course, the whole idea where the adoptive mother has to learn that she has to do certain things and may not like and whatnot. I know I'm kind of skimming it myself as well, but I'm attempting my best to avoid spoilers. I'm not one to state that this movie has like the deepest plot or whatever and whatnot. It does have a decent story to it. Obviously, it's just a decent story to it. It's enough to get things going. Really, yes. If I have any legitimate complaints about it, there's that one conspiracy guy from Godzilla vs King Kong. I thought he was a total moron in that movie, and he's less annoying in this one in some ways, sure, but he's still kind of a nuisance. And then there was one dude with this like Hawaiian shirt kind of guy. Well, he is pretty useful in some ways, but he's just there just to get the plot going, and that's about it. That's to this extent to his character. And then the one conspiracy guy I just mentioned, he's a blog series, and he wants to make sure his blog series gets the most viewed in the interwebs, and that's about it. So if there's any human characters that actually has any genuine meat to them, will be that one girl with the sign language and the adoptive mother. Yeah, those two characters don't have any real meat to them, really. As for everyone else, they're kind of like one dimensional. And also, like I was saying a moment ago, this comes off more of a King Kong movie than an actual Godzilla film. So the title of the movie is very misleading. This might as well have been a third installment to the Kong Skull Island, by which I mean even Godzilla vs Kong came off more of a Kong movie than anything. So this could have been just Kong movies, and that's about it. And Godzilla himself could have been just a co-store, and that's it. Which I would have been fine with if that was how it was advertised, which it wasn't. So what the hell? All right. Other than that, I thought the movie's fine. I was just trying to get the negative stuff out the way. If I had anything to complain about them, really. But other than that, I thought the movie was fine. It gets the job done. When it comes to these slam fest movies, these action packed movies, where they just fight a bunch of times, of course. So it's pretty much what you expect when it comes to these movies, when it comes to MonsterVerse, really. And I mean, I guess at least it tries to do that, I suppose. But anyway. And I guess I'll end this video with something that's profoundly stupid. Because I'm going to be referring to one of the commenters on this, I guess, this site, I suppose, saying that this movie does not need any woke trash and whatnot, as if having diversity is a bad thing. I mean, do you realize the films always had politics and whatnot? What are you talking about here, mate? And then, yes, the whole thing saying swear words. Oh no, somebody said, God damn it, shit, son of a bitch, cunt, or whatever. And that something's upsetting somehow. Like, what are you talking about here, mate? And I also went on to say that Godzilla is supposed to be a childhood icon and whatnot. Again, this is one of the things I found really cringe, of course. And the fact that this film, more films like this, trying to be edgy, like, it's just so stupid. Godzilla was never meant for kids. Like, are you kidding me right now? I mean, seriously, let's get this straight. No pun intended. Like that. Okay, they have an attractive character in the movie, but that would just set you off, and you just slut shame her, which you should anyway, because you can't get mad at her just because she's promiscuous in her own way. So what? And if a woman is interested in another woman, and that will also flip your shit because reasons, because of some lust or whatnot, because somehow sex is somehow viewed as an evil thing, and you just call everybody names like some damn middle schooler, which you shouldn't be doing anyway. Are you kidding me? Ugh. You just, of course, again, like I said a moment ago, the Bible is filled with violence. And you okay with that? You okay with God flooding the entire world, killing thousands upon hundreds of thousands upon hundreds of entire people around the world, living with just only 8 people? And mind you, these 8 people or so are related. So you mean to tell me incest is okay? Genocide is okay? Blood and gore is okay as long as within the biblical context, of course. Oh, that's okay. But someone is saying the word shit or piss somehow angers you. What? I'm just so confused there. This just seems nonsensical. And of course, this individual didn't really bring up any genuine complaints about the movie. Didn't bring up anything about the movie at all. The story was glanced over when you think about it, which it was. And I don't get it. So, okay, sure, whatever. Well, yes, one of the individuals did say that Godzilla X Kong was actually much better than Godzilla vs. Kong, which I'll agree. Empire was definitely an improvement over the previous one, which, like I just said, was Godzilla vs. Kong. Which, yes, I'll agree. That is true. It was actually an improvement over the last one. So that's probably the only thing we're going to agree on here. It is better than that one. That is for sure, I guess you can say. And sure, that's fine. But the vast majority of this review on the people who left comments are just complaining about swear words. Oh no, swear words. Oh no, violence, violence, violence. You shouldn't be violent. It should be violent. It shouldn't be violent. It's like you shouldn't have swear words either. Excuse me. If you actually seen the original Godzilla films in the original format, the Japanese version, not the bastard versions, but if you actually watch the original films, they had swearing. The original films had swear. I mean, it was rather sporadic. It was here and there, sure, but it was there. Swearing did exist within this franchise beforehand. Ultimately, as if it wasn't obvious enough, it just tells me that these people don't know nothing. It doesn't. It appears that they really don't know about anything at all about the subject matter anyway. With this, and that's in regards with the Godzilla films anyway. Anywho, that'll be it for now, folks. As always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah.